Hello, photography enthusiasts. Today, we're stepping back in time to revisit a groundbreaking camera. The Sony A7, the very first mirrorless model from Sony. What makes the Sony A7 particularly fascinating is its compact size. Surprisingly, it's even smaller than the Fujifilm X-T5, more akin to the size of an X-E2. But let's not overlook one of its most significant features right from the start, the full-frame sensor. With its 24 megapixels, the A7 is one of the smallest full-frame sensor cameras with a viewfinder on the market. This combination of a full-frame sensor in such a compact body was quite impressive at the time and remains so even today. This was Sony's first foray into mirrorless territory, and some argue they might have overdone it with the compact design. However, in my opinion, this compactness is precisely what makes the A7 an interesting pick even in modern times. One notable drawback of the A7 is the small battery capacity. However, it's worth mentioning that the battery life can greatly depend on your shooting style. Personally, I tend to use the viewfinder most of the time, and I've found that the battery life isn't so bad when shooting this way. Of course, it's still a good idea to carry a few extra batteries with you, especially during long shoots, to ensure you're always ready to capture the moment. While the A7 does offer some video capabilities, I consider it primarily a stills camera. One of the areas where the A7 truly excels is in its lens compatibility. This camera shines with its ability to work seamlessly with a wide range of lenses, including a vast array of vintage lenses. The versatility of the Sony E-mount means almost any lens can be adapted to fit this system, opening up a world of creative possibilities. Whether you're using classic manual lenses or modern autofocus ones, the A7 handles them with ease. The dials on the A7 are exceptional. Made of metal, they feel superior to the rubber dials found on the later A7 II. The build quality of the camera itself matches the excellence of its dials, featuring a mix of magnesium and plastic in a weather-sealed body. The exposure compensation dial works seamlessly with auto ISO, but if that's not your style, you have the flexibility to assign unique dials for ISO, shutter speed, and aperture. Despite its age, the A7's viewfinder impresses with 2.4 million dots and a good magnification level. Now let's talk about color. Sony cameras sometimes get a bad rap for their color science, but with the A7, Sony really hit the mark. It's interesting to note that while some users have had complaints about the color profiles in the A7 II and A7 III, Sony made significant improvements in the A7 IV. In my experience, the A7 holds its own with very pleasing color output. In terms of user experience, the A7 feels good in the hand with a well-shaped grip. Although the body has a bit of a plastic feel, I've added some extra leather tape to mine, which enhances both the feel and the look. This camera doesn't feel much different from the tactile feeling of a Fujifilm camera, offering a user experience quite distinct from the newer Sony cameras, which in some ways feel more like a computer than a camera. When it comes to the autofocus system of the Sony A7, it's important to remember that even though it lacks the speed and sophistication of Sony's later models, it was still quite advanced for its time. Sony has long been a leader in the mirrorless autofocus game, and the A7 was no exception. When it was released, it offered an autofocus performance that was ahead of much of its competition, including a face recognition feature. This function allowed the A7 to detect and focus on human faces, a feature beneficial for portrait photography. The face recognition autofocus, while not as refined as in subsequent models, added a significant layer of usability for capturing images with people as the primary subject. Overall, the autofocus system of the A7, with its face detection capabilities, provides good enough performance for most general photography needs. In conclusion, the Sony A7 with its compact size, solid build, and excellent color rendition, remains a viable and interesting option. It's especially appealing for those who enjoy the tactile feel of using vintage lenses and appreciate a more traditional shooting experience different from the feel of newer, more computer-like cameras. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Sony A7. What are your thoughts on this classic camera? Share in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more photography insights. Until next time, keep exploring the world through your lens, be it with a modern powerhouse or a timeless classic like the Sony A7.